Culotta and Prince. Culotta and the Prince. Thursday's edition of the vlog here, 1045ESPN.com. All right, we talked to Austin Thomas, Director of Player Personnel for the LSU football program this morning. Interesting conversation, ran about 15 minutes. If you missed it, go check it out on the podcast at 1045ESPN.com. On-demand tab, Culotta and the Prince. Little peek behind the scene of the evaluation process over there?
Not just a little peek. I think that was a very good insight. You know, one of the things I like about what Austin Thomas does over there is he's very organized, and you can tell in talking to him when he explains the process of how they evaluate talent and how they set their board. And I thought it was a great opportunity to talk to him, with today being the day of the NFL draft, to kind of get a peek behind what goes into talent evaluation, and for him to say, you know, look, they have to be on top of the latest freshmen and sophomores. It's not just about, hey, this guy's going to be a good senior football player. They have to be early on in this process in their evaluation, and some great insight. I know me personally, I'm going to listen to it again because there were a couple of things where I heard that and I was like, really? And looking forward to re-listening to it.
The interview actually comes in with a soundbite from Ed Ogeron from one of his stops with us on Tuesday. We were in during his regular segment when he was out of football this last year before he got in over with LSU, and he understood working with Austin Thomas and what it meant. Those guys worked together out on the West Coast at Southern Cal.
He started at Tennessee with them, and Coach O said, love him! That's what he said.
Andy Cannizzaro in his regular Thursday spot, 7 o'clock hour, previewing the matchup. Tigers over in Starkville this weekend, starting a 3-game set versus Mississippi State. Bulldogs a little low this year. Not too good of a team. Only won 1 out of 7 SEC weekend series, which is strange as a team in Omaha last year. But LSU coming off the big win versus Texas A&M, the midweek game versus Alcorn now in Mississippi State, Duty Noble tonight.
I think there's two things to think about here. One is John Cohen against Pulmonary. You never overlook those weekends. And two, despite what their records say, I know that Mississippi State is going to get up for LSU to come in there. The uniforms themselves will have that place rocking and rolling. I thought the interview with Andy Cannizzaro was another one that had some great insight when he talks about kind of the mental approach and the way that he coaches his hitters. It's not a simple formula where he gives all the guys the same thing. He looks at individually how guys do different things and adapts that. It's not just simply like Walt Reniak where everybody bats the same way, or Gary Ward back in the day at Oklahoma State would be a guy who want all his guys to hit with the same approach. He's talking about the differences in each guy and stressing individual approaches to the plate. I thought that was a great take from Andy Cannizzaro.
Saints stay at 13-31?
I hope so. Don't you?
Yeah, no, I do.
I think when you had the opportunity to add more good players, I think you do that.
Yeah, that's what happens. I think the Saints are in such a dire need of overhauling their roster, getting more youthful, and getting better talent. What happens with Lyell?
I don't think he gets drafted tonight. Obviously, all of that is based upon what we know right now at 5 minutes after 9 in the morning. Well, there could be something that could come out later on today, but we don't know that there will be. And quite honestly, I know that with family that is in law enforcement that investigates murders, these things take time. And while they want to talk with him, I think that even if he talks with them for however amount of time they want to talk about it this morning, a good police officer, until they solve the crime, is not going to say that anyone is off the table. And the tragedy that happened is that there is a murder. Someone lost their life, and that is the biggest thing here, is that the police are going to take their time and make sure that they find the person that committed the crime. And everything else that surrounds that, the NFL draft, everything else is that's secondary and, quite honestly, a little bit inconsequential.
If you listen to this before the draft tonight, come sit with us over at L'Auberge Stadium Bar and Grill for our NFL 104.5, 104.9 ESPN draft party.
One thing I'd also like to add, regardless of what you read on Tiger Drop-Ins, I don't gamble. So if you see me at L'Auberge, I'll be in the stadium bar. Now, Charlie and Jimmy, that's another story.
Follow us on Twitter at 104.5 ESPN.